A man is dead. Not from a random act of street violence. Not from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. A man is dead because the mother of his children picked up her phone and typed 3 words. 3 words that set a chain of events in motion that ended with a 29-year-old father face down on a sidewalk in front of his own apartment, shot in the back, and then shot again while he was already on the ground.
Hey guys, it's David Hamilton with WBRZ. A family is grieving after a man was allegedly killed by the boyfriend of the mother of his children. 29-year-old Hope Jackson and 32-year-old Franklin Riddick has been arrested in the murder of Anthony Wesley Jr. Allegedly, this is all over child support disputes.
It's shocking because, these are your kids' father. And why would you want to put the kids through that?
That person you're hearing from is the current girlfriend of the victim. She says Anthony Wesley Jr. was a good man. Both Jackson and Riddick are being held without bond.
Here's what I need you to sit with before we go any further. What kind of person decides that a man fighting to see his own children deserves to die for it? Because that is exactly what happened in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And by the time we get to the end of this story, you are going to have questions that go way beyond who pulled the trigger. If you are new here, welcome to Redrage Crime TV. We cover the real cases, the ones that happen behind closed doors between people who are supposed to love each other. And to everyone already in this community, we see you. We read every single comment that comes through on this channel, everyone, and the support has been everything. Keep it coming. Now let's get into it. Anthony Wesley Jr. was 29 years old. He was from Clinton, Louisiana, went to East Feliciana High School, made his way to Baton Rouge, and was building his life there. His girlfriend, Zariana Harris, described him as the kind of man you pray for. That you ask God for a certain type of person and then you actually get it. That is who Anthony was to the people who loved him. He had 2 children with a woman named Hope Jackson, a son born in 2018 and a daughter born in 2022. Anthony Wesley wanted to be in their lives, so when the informal arrangement stopped working, he did what a responsible parent does. He went to court. He filled a legal petition for custody, visitation, and child support for both his children. He did it the right way. He got a hearing date. That court date is the reason Anthony Wesley Jr. is dead. Hope Jackson was also 29. She had moved on from Anthony and was now in a relationship with a man named Riddick Franklin, 32 years old and a convicted felon, which means any weapon he was carrying was already a crime before he ever pointed it at anyone. When Anthony filled that custody petition, something shifted in Hope. According to investigators, she was scared about losing the upcoming court date, and instead of getting a lawyer and preparing her case like a grown adult, she took that fear straight to her boyfriend. She told Franklin she was worried. She told him she was tired of child support not being processed. She told him she wanted Anthony Wesley gone. And this was not a one-time conversation. The arrest affidavit uses a specific word. She increased the pressure on Franklin. Over days, she kept coming back to it. She told him the window of opportunity was closing, that if it was not done, she would lose everything. She framed a man's life as a deadline. Then came the text. Investigators found messages between Hope and Franklin where she wrote, "I want him Ovi." 3 words. Casual. Like she was texting a grocery list. Authorities confirmed Over is street slang for finishing someone off for killing them. She put it in writing and sent it. She also asked Franklin directly whether he was going to do it for her. And then the night before Anthony Wesley was killed, Franklin recalled Hope saying, "I ain't gonna tell on you. You ain't gonna tell on me, so we straight." The night before, she had already mapped out the silence. She had already planned for what comes after. Anthony had absolutely no idea. On Sunday morning, March 22nd, a white truck pulled into the Jefferson Lakes apartments on Jefferson Highway at approximately 3 in the morning. Franklin texted Hope at 3:06 a.m., "Not here." She responded like yet, or as in, at all. Then they talked on the phone for 21 minutes. He was sitting in that parking lot in the dark, checking in with her, waiting, for hours, before the sun even came up. That is not a man who came to talk. That is a man who came to finish something. Around 5:40 in the morning, Anthony Wesley appeared outside his apartment. The surveillance footage captured everything. Franklin shot him from behind. Anthony never saw it coming. This is the detail in the arrest warrant that does not leave you. Franklin walked up, stood over him, and fired several more times. He stood over Anthony Wesley and kept shooting execution style, in front of his own home. Zariana Harris was there. She told reporters she was traumatized, that she still sees the image, that it did not have to come to this. She said Anthony could have talked it over, that he did not have to lose his life. And she is right. Somebody made the choice that he would. Deputies arrived just before 6 in the morning and found Anthony dead on the sidewalk. Multiple gunshot wounds. He never made it inside his apartment. He never got that court date he had filled for. After the murder, Franklin went home, took the gun apart piece by piece and washed his clothes. He thought he had covered it, but the surveillance footage already had his white truck on camera. Detectives traced the license plate, stopped him later that day, and recovered the gun, the clothing from the video, and his cell phone. That cell phone broke the case open. Franklin admitted to the killing, telling investigators he went there to squash the beef and was tired of being disrespected. But you cannot claim peaceful intentions when you arrived at 3 in the morning, sat in the dark for nearly 3 hours, and shot a man in the back. That story did not hold. When investigators went through the phone, they found every call and text between Franklin and Hope, before, during, and after the murder. The 3:06 a.m. text, the 21-minute call, the texts at 5:30, the 25-minute call right after the shooting, and then more than 3 hours of calls later that morning. She was on the phone with him through all of it. They found the messages. They found, "I want him over." The full picture of what Hope Jackson had been doing in the days before March 22nd was sitting right there on that phone she thought was private. Hope Jackson was arrested and charged with principal to second-degree murder. In Louisiana, that means you are just as responsible as the person who pulled the trigger. If you planned it, pressured it, and set it in motion, you did it. She sent the texts. She applied the pressure. She told him the night before they were not going to say a word. The law looked at all of that and said, "You did this too." Both Franklin and Hope Jackson were booked and held without bond. Anthony Wesley's 2 children, the same 2 kids at the center of that custody petition, woke up one morning and their father was gone. Not gradually, overnight, permanently. And the person who made that decision for them is the woman who gave birth to them. They do not have a father at their school events. They do not have him at their birthdays. They do not have someone to call when something goes wrong. Hope Jackson did not just take Anthony from the people who loved him. She took him from his own kids, the very kids she claimed she was protecting. Think about that. Anthony Wesley Jr. went to court to fight for his children. That responsible legal act is what put a target on his back. He did everything right, and the last thing he ever did was try to be present for his kids. His girlfriend Zariana Harris said it best. She prayed for a certain type of man and she got it. And then somebody took him. 3 words in a text message. That is all it took, and 2 children are growing up without their father because of them. Rest easy, Anthony. If his story hit you, share it right now. These are the cases that do not always make national headlines, but they happen in real neighborhoods to real families, and they leave real children behind. If you are watching on YouTube, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new case. On Facebook, follow Redrage Crime TV and share this video. Every share puts Anthony's story in front of someone who needs to hear it. And to everyone in the comments, we read every single one. Drop your thoughts, your questions, your reactions. What do you think about this case? Do you think Hope Jackson truly understood what she was setting in motion, or had she convinced herself it was just words? Let us know below. We will see you on the next one.
Authorities have now charged a second person in an apparent domestic dispute where the killer shot down another man execution style. According to arrest documents, the second person charged was the victim's former lover who ordered his killing. David Hamilton reports.
This picture of victim Anthony Wesley Jr. shows his love of family.
He was a great guy. Like I said, everyone loved him. It was nothing. It's not too much bad to say, because you know how you say, you pray for a certain type of man and you finally get it. That's what it was.
East Baton Rouge sheriff investigators arrested Riddick Franklin for shooting Wesley in the back on March 29th at the Jefferson Lakes Apartments. Then documents say Franklin stood over Wesley and fired several more times. For Harris, she says she'll never forget witnessing that scene.
Well, it happened in front of our apartment. So, I was shocked. I'm traumatized. I still see the image, everything.
Investigators now allege that the shooter, Franklin, was romantically involved with Hope Jackson, the mother of victim Wesley's children, who they've now charged with second-degree murder as well. Court records show Wesley and Jackson were in the middle of a custody dispute. As part of that dispute, court was scheduled for next month. According to the affidavit now charging Jackson with second-degree murder, Jackson told Franklin multiple times she wanted Wesley killed because of a dispute involving child support. The affidavit alleges Jackson told Franklin, quote, "I want him OV." Authorities say OV is street slang for eliminating or killing someone.
It's shocking because, these are your kids' father. And why would you want to put your kids through that?
Harris mourns not only Wesley's death, but that this dispute escalated to such violence.
And Anthony could have talked it over and maybe, came to a conclusion or whatever it was that they had going on with the kids. Like, it didn't have to come to this. He didn't have to lose his life.
In addition to second-degree murder, the accused gunman Franklin faces charges of illegal use of a firearm, possession of a firearm, and obstruction of justice. Hope Jackson was booked in jail facing second-degree murder charges.